lay my burden down. My yoke is easy now. What a friend I found in you. You are the well that won't run dry, and only you can satisfy through every season of my life. You are the well that won't run dry. I will thirst no more, 'cause you refresh my soul. Living waters flow from you. You are the well that won't run dry. Only you can satisfy through every season of my life. 'Cause you are the well that won't run dry, and you are the well that won't run dry, and only you can satisfy through every season of my life. Oh, you are the well that won't run dry. You have given me freedom. You have given me joy. You have taken my burden. Yes, you have, Lord. You have given me freedom. You have given me joy. You have taken my burden. Oh, you have given me freedom. You have given me joy. You have taken my burden. Oh, you have given me freedom. You have given me joy. You have taken my burden. You are the well that won't run dry, and only you can satisfy through every season of my life. You are the well that won't run dry. Yes, you are the well that won't run dry. Oh, you are the well that won't run dry. You have given me freedom. You have given me joy. You have taken my burden. Oh, you have given me freedom. You have given me joy. You have taken my burden. Yes, you have, Lord. You have given me freedom. You have given me joy. You have taken my burden. Oh, you are the well that won't run dry. Only you can satisfy through every season of my life. Oh, you are the well that won't run dry. Yes, you are the well that won't run dry. Oh, Lord, you are the well that won't run dry. I'm going to attempt to sing this song this morning. My throat's kind of scratchy, but I've been promising Kathy Hicks for weeks that I would sing it. Who taught the sun where to stand in the morning? Who told the ocean you can only come this far? And who showed the moon where to hide till evening? Whose words alone can catch a falling star? Well, I know my Redeemer lives. I know my Redeemer lives. Let all creation testify. Let this life within me cry. I know my Redeemer lives. The very same God that spins things in orbit runs to the weary, the worn and the weak, and the same gentle hands that holds me when I'm broken, they conquer death to bring me victory. Well, I know my Redeemer, He lives. I know my Redeemer lives. Let all creation testify. Let this life within me cry. Take away my shame, and He lives forever. I'll proclaim that the payment for my sin was this precious life He gave. But now He's alive, and there's an empty and I know my Redeemer, He lives. I know my Redeemer lives. Let all creation testify. Let this life within me cry. I know my Redeemer. I know my Redeemer lives. I know, my Redeemer lives. I know that I know that I know that I know that I know. My Redeemer lives. Because He lives, I can face tomorrow. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I know. Aren't you glad that He still lives? Ain't no grave held Him down, that He still lives. He is the Redeemer. He's the restorer. He's the rebuilder this morning.
This morning, I want to talk to you about saying yes and no, or the yeses and nos, to get to your destiny. And one passage of Scripture where I want to stay at is in Luke. It's Luke 1:26 through 38. And about when Mary got the news from Gabriel that she was going to bear Jesus. So it says, in the 6th month of Elizabeth's pregnancy, God sent the angel Gabriel to Nazareth, town in Galilee, to a virgin pledged to be married to a man named Joseph, a descendant of David. The virgin's name was Mary. The angel went to her and said, "Greetings, you who are highly favored. The Lord is with you." Mary was greatly troubled at his words and wondered what kind of greeting this could be. But the angel said to her, "Do not be afraid, Mary. You have found favor with God. You will conceive and give birth to a son, and you are to call him Jesus. He will be great, and he will be called the Son of the Most High. The Lord will give him the throne of his father David, and he will reign over Jacob's descendants forever. His kingdom will never end." "How will this be?" Mary asked the angel, "since I am a virgin?" The angel answered, "The Holy Spirit will come upon you, and the power of the Most High will overshadow you. So the Holy One to be born will be called the Son of God. Even Elizabeth, your relative, is going to have a child in her old age, and she who was said to be unable to conceive is in her 6th month. For no word from God will ever fail." "I am the Lord's servant," Mary answered. "May your word come to me fulfilled." Then the angel left her. So Mary was told of her destiny in that passage, right? She was a young girl, betrothed to be married, and now she's being told, you're going to have a child out of wedlock. Well, in today's society, that's still frowned upon, right? But even back then, I mean, you would be kicked out of your family. Your betrothed husband wouldn't have to marry you. You know, you would be kicked out of your whole town. But Mary, did she no, I don't want this? Or did she accept it? She accepted it, right? She knew that it had to be something of God for the angel to come when they even were speaking about Elizabeth, who was told she was not supposed to be able to have a child, but she did. So she accepted her destiny. She said, even though it seems impossible, even though it seems scary, she was going to accept it because she knew that it was from God. And if she said no, then what would her destiny be? And how many times have we heard a call from God and we've said no? You know, it may be one that's leading us to our destiny, and because we're scared or we might think it is impossible for God, we've said no. I know in my life, I was dead set on never marrying somebody in the ministry. I've been a pastor's daughter all my life, a missionary kid. We've moved, I don't even know, 20-something times. I stopped counting. And I said, I never want to be in ministry because I know what it's, what it did to my life as a kid growing up. I didn't have a whole lot of friends. To this day, I don't have lifelong friends like I see Rhonda and Angel and Stephanie. And I long for that. But I don't have that because I did move around a lot and stuff. But that was leading me up to my destiny. When I met Paul, I was like, oh, thank the Lord, he's a cop. He's not in ministry. He'll never be in ministry. He's shy and all this stuff. Well, we started dating in August. December, that's when the Lord speaks to him and says, no, you're going into ministry. And I'm like, great. Thought I had escaped that one, but no, he was leading me into my destiny. Everything that he brought me through growing up was giving me direction and making me who I am to be in my destiny, in my today, and in my future. And it's hard when you hear the call of God to say yes and to just go with it. I can remember when Ricky asked me a couple weeks ago to speak this morning. Of course, he goes about it real smooth. Hey, he tells me a couple counsel things. I'm like, okay, yeah, that sounds good. Oh, by the way, we're going to be out of town. Could you do the service? And I was like, oh, wait a minute. Okay, I'm fine with doing the 5 minutes here and 5 minutes there, but a whole message, I don't know that I'm ready for that. I don't think that's, where I'm at. But the Lord quickened me and said, you've been praying for your destiny. And you've been praying that doors will be open to get you into that place where you feel like you were called. And this is one of those steps. And I was like, okay, God, okay, smacked myself on the hand and should have listened the first time. I told Ricky, I said, I'm going to have to pray on that. But what if we immediately said yes? How much easier would our lives be? And are the decisions you're making today leading you to your destiny of tomorrow? In the rush of life, we're given yeses, right? Especially for us women, we don't like to say no. We don't like to hurt people's feelings. So even if we know we don't have time, we know we're overstressed and overworked already, we still what? Yeah, I'll help you. That won't be a problem. Are you sure? Because I don't want to overload you. No, that's fine. I've got all the time in the world. And we're going, okay, we'll do it, And then we get into it and we're like, why did I do this? You're not giving that yes the best that you can. And that's what I want to talk a little bit about this morning, is giving our best yes. I've been reading a book, and I encourage y'all to read it. It's called The Best Yes by Lisa Turkhurst. And it has just opened my eyes and it's really blessed me. And so some of my notes for today have come out of that. So how many times, like I said before, have we said yes to something and realized we really should have said no? A lot of times we feel like it's not going to get done if I don't do it. Well, I'm capable of doing it. I've got all the resources. I know how to do what they're needing. But in reality, you don't have the time. And if you say yes, you're only going to be able to half do it and give it only half of its potential. And so we're not only hurting ourselves when we do that, but we're hurting the need that person had, whether it be something small or whether it be big. And how many of us know that if it's something that God wants done, He's going to make sure it gets done? Everything doesn't have to fall on us. There's multiple people out there, and God will make sure it gets done. In that, when we take on everything, I know for myself, I'm one of those people who like it done a certain way. I want everything just to be how I want it, and I know exactly how I want it. So I don't care if I'm up till midnight doing something, I'm going to do it because I know how I want it and I can get it done that way. But what if we're robbing someone else's blessing because we're not stepping back and saying, no, this one's really not for me. This is for somebody else. Maybe you are the directional piece that the Lord is using to direct the person in need to the person who will fulfill it, and that He has set up for that. Lisa talks about in her book a college student that's really good friends of their family. She was going to be going to a college close to their house, and the girl had asked if she could stay with them. Well, Lisa goes through her checklist. We have room. It's not really going to be a burden financially because she's going to give some money toward rent and food, so that wouldn't be a problem. We could definitely minister her and pour into her life and help her grow up and give her some good direction. But am I going to give her the time that she needs? Is it going to rush me to make sure I'm giving her all the time she needs as well as my other kids? And that's when she realized that, even though we have all the pieces, everything would fit good, I think this is not going to be for us. I think we need to step back and we'll find somebody that you can stay with. So they set up, 2 nights a week she would come over, she'd eat supper with them, and they could still minister and pour into her life, but it wasn't a hindrance on them. So Lisa and her family wouldn't get bogged down, and the girl wouldn't feel like she was getting left out and not getting the time that she needed with the family. So just because you feel like you are capable of it doesn't mean you have to do it. God's got somebody in that place. I think back to April when I took Paul for his birthday to the Outcry night of worship in Greenville. Amazing night. I got like the most expensive tickets because that's all he talked about for months, wanting to go. You know, the VIP early entrance, like 3 rows back, in seat because he likes to have room. I was like, yeah, this is going to be awesome. So we get there, and the whole time I'm going, man, I hope we're not squished in, because I like to be free when I worship. I like to be able to move around. So I'm like, okay, good. The 2 seats beside me, nobody's there. Yes, thank the Lord. The whole time we're leading up to it, right? Concert starts. Nobody's in those seats. Yes. So I'm, spread out, having a good time. Well, then this couple comes in. And for some reason, I had looked back and I had seen him walking down. I said, oh, no. They're coming to sit beside us. I feel it. I just know they're coming to sit right here to take up my space, Sure enough, here they come walking right in. And the man sits beside me and the woman sits over there. And I immediately think, what are they doing here? Just the spirit that just come with them down the aisle and into the seats beside me. I was like, Lord, what are they doing here? They didn't feel like they wanted to be there. They felt just heavy, this heaviness that came with them. And I was like, well, maybe somebody gave them the tickets, and that's why they were late, because they were debating whether to come or not. And so as the night went on, they weren't worshiping. Everybody else that bought those nice tickets, we were all taking it in, right? We were going to get every bit that we could of our money's worth. Well, they just weren't enjoying it. They weren't raising their hands. They weren't singing the songs. I was like, Lord, this is just strange. Well, I look over, and the woman is sitting down. Now, it was Paul, me, the husband, and the wife, and then another man and another woman. Well, the woman had sat down. She had her hands over her head, and I was like, God, what is going on? I know that something just don't feel right, but what is it? Well, then a little while later, the man sits down. And I'm like, y'all are disrupting my worship time. I'm trying to focus in and get something tonight, because it's hard when you minister constantly. We minister in here, we minister to the youth, and even doing things outside of here, our work and stuff. And I'm like, Lord, I just need some me time. Fill me up. And the Lord spoke to me as they were both sitting down, just huddled up. He said, pray for him. What'd you say? We're at a Christian concert. We don't pray for people at a Christian concert. We're all Christians here. We're here to glorify you and fill us up. We don't come here for prayer. Thank you, but I think you got that one wrong. And he's like, I said pray for him. And I'm looking around. Place is packed. Sold out. I'm like, you have got to be kidding me. Pray for him. And so by this time, I'm out of my worship zone. There's no more worshiping going on because the Lord's just beating me. And I'm not listening. And I'm like, but Lord, what are these people going to say? What are they going to do? I've got people behind me from Elevation Church. I've got people in front of me from Elevation and all. They're everywhere, people. So I'm like, okay. And I keep looking at them. To the point, Paul's like, what are you doing? The stage is over there. I'm like, God's telling me to pray for these people. He's like, we'll do it. And I'm like, no. That's not what I'm here for. I'm here for me, So I'm like, oh, well, I'm not going to be able to worship anymore, so let's just go ahead and pray for him. And so, the man is sitting beside me, which makes it even more awkward. I'm like, well, maybe if the woman was on this side, it would be a little easier. So I'm like, okay, how am I going to do this? So I, reach over him and tap her on the shoulder, and I'm like, can I pray for y'all? I feel like the Lord wants me to pray for y'all. And she's like, yes, please. I'm like, whew. Okay, well, that's good. So I just start praying over them. They're still bent over in their chairs, huddled down. So I'm stretched over him, huddled down, trying to touch both of them, and praying where they can both hear me. I'm like, this is a mess, but I'm going through with it. And so I began to pray. I don't know what I said to him. Couldn't tell you the prayer. But I remember the moment when the Lord spoke what she needed to hear, she broke down, started weeping in the middle of this concert, just gushes. And I was like, oh my gosh. So then I start crying, and the husband starts crying, and we're just all having a cry fest, an outcry. And I'm like, okay. And we wrap the prayer up, and I lean back up, and she jumps up out of that chair, knocks her husband, because he's a really tall man, lean forward, pushes him out of the way, and reaches over and gives me the biggest, longest hug. She said, you don't know how much I needed that. She said, that was an answer to prayer. And I was like, okay, thank you, Lord. And I can see that being one of the beginning stages of me stepping out into the destiny that He has for me. Because that was so out of my comfort zone. You just don't even understand. I'm like, this is a concert. These people are Christians. This is not normal. But that's what they needed. So they were that spirit, that just heaviness and that burden was lifted after that. They were able to praise and worship for the rest of the time. Well, it got to the time for intermission. And the other couple that was on the other side of us, who had been worshiping all night, looked at me while the couple I prayed over was going to get some snacks. He said, you felt that on them too? It's like, yeah. So something just wasn't right with them. He said, I felt it too. He said, I was getting ready to pray for them, but I looked over and you already was. I was like, I about let Him take my blessing. Because I wasn't ready to walk in that obedience. God knew she needed prayer and knew exactly what she needed to hear. And if I wasn't going to be the one to do it, He had somebody else lined up. So don't ever let the enemy tell you, that it's not for you. But at the same time, don't feel like you have to be everybody's answer. I'm so thankful that I answered God and said, you know what, it's out of my comfort zone, but I'm going to do it because I feel like they need it. We were able to talk, and they ended up leaving the concert early. I don't know their name. I know they have a little girl because they were getting home to her to put her down to bed is why they left early. But, I think about them, and I still pray for them. I'm like, Lord, what was it that they needed? And why did you pick me out of all the people around them? Why was it me, the one that you wanted to use? But I still do think about them and pray for them. And if I would have been so consumed with me getting filled and the concert, I would have missed that yes opportunity to walk in the destiny that He had for me. And sometimes we miss the yeses to our destiny because we have other yeses that we're trying to fulfill that they should have been no's. That's where I kind of want to take a turn and go to now. How many of us is it hard to say no to somebody? Right? Yeah, that's definitely me. We feel like we don't want to hurt people's feelings. If I say no, then I'm not showing them that I love them. Well, that's not true. We need to make sure that the yeses we're saying are leading us to that path that God has for us. And no's are not a bad thing. Like I said earlier, no's can be the directional piece to get them to the person that Jesus has the yes for. And I know a lot of times, now who in here, it's easy for you to say no to somebody or something, no matter what it is. Yeah, you're just one of those no, not me, There's both of us in this crowd, right? But I want to talk about the no's that we say to God and to those around us. 3 of the main reasons why we say no in getting us to our destiny. The first one is we say no because we don't believe God is big enough to do what He says. We put Him in a box. We think He has to fit our mold. We don't think that He's the God of the universe. He created everything, but yet we don't think that He can do our little thing that we need Him to do, right? Well, we're not the only ones like that. Even the ones closest to Jesus did the same thing. They doubted him. They, in a sense, put him in a box. Peter, he's the one who said Jesus is Lord first, right? He was the first one to jump up and say, he's who he says he is. He's the first one to jump out of the boat. But then he takes his sight off Jesus and starts sinking. He's also the one to deny Jesus 3 times. So you've got this awesome man of God who did so much for the kingdom, and he's 1 minute like, yes, he's Lord, and oh no, he's not going to keep me from getting in this water. He was in that boat too, right? He's like us. He was human. He has those moments of doubt too. Judas was one of his followers. He's seen all the miracles that he did. He was right there in the midst when he fed the 5,000 plus with, a boy's lunch? Like a kid's lunch. How many of us know that a kid's lunch wouldn't even fill us up, like myself, much less feed 5,000 plus? He saw that, but then he still denied Jesus for a little bit of money, right? And then Thomas, the doubter that he was, even after he was resurrected, he had went to see everybody, and they're all telling him, oh my gosh, Jesus is alive. No, he's not. I don't believe you. Why do we think that just because what God's doing doesn't fit in our box doesn't mean it doesn't fit in his box? His box is not a box. It's round. It's a world, right? It's got multiple arms and limbs. It's us. So why do we think that just because it doesn't make sense to us, that it doesn't make sense to God? Because he has a bigger plan than what we do. Number 2 says, we say no because we are scared of what someone will do or say. We'll let the people and the situations around us take our focus off what truly matters. John 12:42 and 43, it's talking about the leaders in the synagogue. It says, yet at the same time, many, even among the leaders, believed in him, talking about Jesus. But because of the Pharisees, they would not openly acknowledge their faith for fear they would be put out of the synagogue, for they loved men and human praise more than praise from God. I know for me, sometimes it's hard to talk about God and church and the things God's doing, the movements, the miracles, everything that he's doing at work. Because I work with a lot of men who are not saved, who cuss like sailors, who talk nasty stuff. So it's hard for me to stand up and say, hey, can you believe what God's doing? We had an awesome move of God Wednesday night. Kids were getting filled with the Holy Spirit. They were getting answers. They were getting chains broken off their life. They were having prophecies spoke over them. That's hard for me to talk about at work when people I go to church with don't even go to work with, don't even believe in God. And that's what the leaders back in that time, some of them believed in God. They believed he was the Messiah. They were teachers in the church. But yet, they didn't want to say anything because the Pharisees, they didn't want to be thrown out of the church, and they liked the praises of men better. And I know for youth, and I know especially for adults who come to Christ later in life, you have your friends, you have your set of people around you that you're comfortable with, that you do life with. And when you come to Christ, a lot of times those people are not going to like you anymore. You're going to have to get rid of friendships. They're going to say, you have lost it. I'm sorry, but we can't be friends. Or maybe you have to be the one to say, the life you're living, I can't be around. And that's a hard thing to do. But we have to do it, right? If he said, if we deny him before men, he's going to deny us before the Father. So why would we let humans, people around us, determine what we are going to say and how we are going to obey God when they're not the ones sitting on the throne? They're not going to be the ones judging us. when we get up to heaven and saying, oh, yeah, Cynthia, I remember that time you was talking about Jesus and I just didn't like it, so I'm sorry. You can't come in. No! Jesus is going to be the one up there. God's going to be the one up there saying, I'm glad that you spoke up, that you stepped out of your comfort zone, and that you said, yes, I don't care how many friends or how many people I'm going to lose, but I'm going to step up and I'm going to say that I believe in God and say yes to His will, no matter what it costs me. And the third one is saying no out of stubbornness. A lot of times we have our own plan, like I did. You know, I had a plan, not being in ministry, not being married to somebody in ministry. So I'm like, no, that's okay, Lord, but that's not for me. You know, we're stubborn. That's part of our human nature. But have we ever wondered, and I want this to come across right, have we ever wondered that maybe our stubbornness in saying no to what the Lord is wanting us to do is maybe causing us not to get the blessing that we're asking for? You know, we don't do things for God to get a blessing. You know, He's not one of those, do something for me and I'm just going to pour out to you. That's not how it works. But He said He blesses those who work for Him. Those who do good, He is going to reward. You know, so we can't be sitting over here on the sidelines telling Him no at every little thing He's wanting us to do and then still expect to get a handout from Him. God doesn't work like that. You know, does He still bless people who are not doing His work? Yes, we see it all the time. You know, these big millionaires who are living for the world and living for themselves, but are they happy? No, they're miserable and they're still looking for that fulfillment, but they're not looking to the right place. So maybe it's because of our stubbornness we're saying no. But we know when we're walking in His will, He's taking care of us. It might not be the largest house on the hill, might not be the newest car in the yard, but we've got a car to get us there. We've got food on the table, and He's still going to take care of us. So, how many of us can say we are overbooked? We're running from sun up to sundown, doing way more than we can do. Have we left time for God? Have we left time for those moments that He has a divine appointment for us and we see it come along and we're like, oh my gosh, I know I'm supposed to do that, but I've got all this other stuff that I'm doing that has taken up my time. You know, sometimes we have to step back and say, Lord, okay, what is it that you want me to do? What are the yeses that you want me to say yes to and the no's that you want me to say no to? You know, what is the destiny you have for me, and which of these do I need to go down? So the yeses to God, I've got 3. Y-E-S, right? 3 little letters. And I have 3 words that defines the yes. It says yield yourself. Definition of to yield means to comply with the requests or desires of others, to relinquish possession or give something up. How many of us can say that we have truly yielded ourselves to the Lord? That we've given over ourselves, our plans, our wants, our desires to Him and just said, have at it. I'm yours. You do whatever you want with me. Mary yielded herself. She said, Lord, I don't know what your plans are, but I'm giving you myself. I'm going to believe that your plans are greater than mine, that you are still going to work everything in my life to good. You know, that I'm still going to have a man to get married to who's still going to love me, you know, because your plan is coming to fruition. She yielded herself. She was willing to be used by God. When you yield yourself to God, You know when to say yes and when to say no. See, when you yield, when you give yourself over, you'll know His will. You'll know His plan because you'll have that discernment. Number 2 is examine yourself. Check yourself. What's your condition? Are you spiritually where you need to be? A lot of times, we're so bogged down. We have all these other things. We've got football, we've got baseball, we've got cheerleading, we've got cross country, we've got dance, we've got music, we've got gymnastics, we've got softball, we've got all these things going on in our life. You know, we've got PTA meetings and who knows what else, right? That we're not taking time to grow ourselves spiritually because we're filling up our time with other things, with things of the world, but we're not leaving time for God. So how are we going to be used by God if we're not leaving time for God? If we're not giving Him time in our day to speak to us and to be used by us, then what are we even doing? What are we here for? You know, we've got to examine ourselves. We've got to slow down. We've got to say some no to things. And, you know, I know that you're needing that. I know that you've got this need, or I know that this needs to be done. But I'm believing somebody else is going to step up and take that place and to help you with what you need done, because I've got to take some time for me. I've got to take some time for the Lord. One thing out of the book that I've been reading, The Best Yes, I love it. She says, the same patterns will produce the same habits. The same habits will lead to the same decisions. I'm going to say it again. The same patterns will produce the same habits. So if you're going to continue in this cycle of being run to death, that's what you're going to keep doing, because the same patterns produce the same habits, and the same habits produce the same decisions. So if you're continually overworked, overscheduled, then those habits and those decisions of, I know I need to take some time for the Lord, I'm too tired tonight, I'll just get up 15 minutes earlier in the morning and do it. Well, then 15 minutes earlier in the morning gets here and you're like, but I really need that sleep, right? It's because your patterns have produced your habits, which are now making your decisions, which are not leading you down the path of yes to your destiny. It says, are the decisions you make today putting you in the path of your destiny and direction for your tomorrow? Number 3 is surrender yourself. Submit to authority, hand over, abandon one's self entirely. Now, surrender, we know in the army, when you surrender, the people you're battling against, they'll take you. They'll plunder your stuff. They'll kill you. They might torture you. You know, a lot of times, even back then and even today, they're raping men and women. You know, you've given yourself to them to say, here, I'm not fighting you anymore. Have at it. You know, I'm yours, right? Well, that's what God wants us to do. He's wanting us to surrender to Him entirely. So it doesn't matter what my plans are. It doesn't matter what I say or what I feel or what I want to do. I'm going to give everything to you. And that's when you'll know His will. Because He will be the one in charge of your life. He'll be the one controlling your thoughts and your emotions. And He will be able to guide you and direct you. The more you say yes, the easier it is to say yes. Just like the more you say no, the easier it is to say no. So, where are some areas in your life that you feel like you are overworked? That you need to take some time, you need to step back from some stuff and say, I need some time for the Lord. I need to get myself back in line before I can go on. I was there. I was doing so much and not taking time for myself and to fill up and to do the things that God had for me. No wonder my life was miserable. Are you living with the stress of an overwhelmed schedule and aching with sadness from an underwhelmed soul? Now, we can push ourselves to be so active throughout the day and have our hands in so many different pots. But at the end of the day, when we lay our head down, is your spirit fulfilled, or are you just tired? We don't have to be Superwoman. You know, that's Superwoman is like, what, one woman? But God created women. He created us all, for us all to be able to take on the responsibility, to share each other's burdens and what things need to be done. Just like this fall festival, Rhonda can't do it on her own. She's not Wonder Woman. Sometimes she thinks she is, just like sometimes I think I am. But that's why there's all of us, right? He created women so we don't have to do it on our own. So Angel, if you'll come around, I want you to really think about today, what are the areas in your life that you need to say no to, where you're overworked, you've got too much going on, that you're not allowing God to come in and to work, and you're not giving God that yes, that best yes. So when His divine appointments come along and the areas of life where He needs you the most, that you're going to be open and that you're going to be able to do what He has for you. Luke 1:45 says, "Blessed is she who has believed that the Lord would fulfill His promises to her." Just because you have to step back in some areas, I know we all need to. We all have areas in our life that we're overworked and we need to slow down to take more time for God. But He says that you are blessed and that He'll fulfill His promises to you. But that's who has believed in the Lord, who has given themselves over, who has surrendered, who has examined, and who has yielded themselves to be in that position of being used by God. You know, if you say that you're God's, think of those three of yes. Have you yielded? Have you truly turned yourself over? Have you examined yourself? Are you where you need to be spiritually? I can say probably every one of us in this room aren't where we need to be spiritually. We try, we strive, but for the majority of us, it's probably still a struggle. We're still working. And have you surrendered? Have you said, it doesn't matter what you do, just like the disciples, sell your home, forget your family, come follow me. My family surrendered to God. It cost me a crazy childhood, living 20-something places, living in another country, not having close friends, but it put me on my destiny. It put me in the path of my destiny. So as Angel sings this song, I want the prayer team to come around. And these altars are going to be open. If you just need prayer, if you just need to say, Lord, I know there's some areas of my life where I'm working too hard in this life and I'm not working hard enough in this life. You know, that I just need to surrender some things to you. I need to lay some things down at your feet so that you can use me.
feared you in the walls inside my mind. I try to keep you safely in between the lines. I try to put you in the box that I've designed. I try to pull you down so we are eye to eye. When did I forget that you've always been the king of the world? I try to take life back right out of the hands of the king of the world. How could I make you so small when you're the one who holds it all? When did I forget that you've always been the king of the world? Just a whisper of your voice can tame the seas. So who am I to try to take the lead? Still I run ahead and think I'm strong enough, when you're the one who made me from the dust. So when did I forget that you've always been the king of the world? I try to take life back right out of the hands of the king of the world. How could I make you so small when you're the one who holds it all? When did I forget that you've always been the king of the world? Oh, you set it all in motion, every single moment. You brought it all to be, and you're holding on to me. And when did I forget that you've always been the king of the world? I try to take life back right out of the hands of the king of the world. How could I make you so small when you're the one who holds it all? When did I forget that you've always been the king of the world?